expressed during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements. Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to The Edge here in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today, Monday, February 3rd, 2024. In studio with me today is Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws and Deputy Chief Environmental Health Officer Mr. Glenville Leader. And today the discussion will be centered around the hand, foot, and mouth disease. And today, these medical professionals, health professionals, are here to speak on this matter, share some information on what it is about, and how do you protect or prevent yourself from catching this disease. Good morning, and welcome to The Edge here in ZIZ Radio. Dr. Laws.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius. Thanks for having us.
Mr. Leader.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for having us as well.
All right. So as mentioned earlier, we're here to talk about hand, foot, and mouth disease. And as you are aware, this is something that is, I think, is it safe to say that it's plaguing our local community right now? A lot of people are coming down with the hand, foot, and mouth disease. And even though the name may suggest that it is self-explanatory. What is it? What is hand, foot, and mouth disease? Dr. Laws?
Okay, so that's a very good question because the Ministry of Health currently is noticing an uptick or a mild increase in the number of children, particularly children diagnosed with hand, foot, and mouth disease. So what is hand, foot, and mouth disease? It's really a mild, contagious viral infection. It is caused by viruses that belong to the enterovirus family. So as I said before, it's a minor illness. It starts spontaneously and it just resolves spontaneously. It causes a fever, painful sores in the mouth of the child, and a blister-like rash affecting the palms of the hands, soles of the feet, and it can affect other areas of the body as well. As I said, it starts, and within 1 to 2 weeks, it's resolved.
And what are the common signs and symptoms of it? Okay,
so it usually, firstly, I must say, when a child is exposed to the virus, the time lag between exposure and the child exhibiting symptoms is about 3 to 6 days. So that's the incubation period. And so the common signs and symptoms include a fever, sore throat, and loss of appetite, because then it gives the child the bumps or the lesions in the mouth, affecting the tongue, the gums, the inside of the cheeks. And this can be a bit uncomfortable. And so there's generally loss of appetite. It's associated with loss of appetite, especially when the child has these mouth lesions. So again, not all children with hand, foot, and mouth disease develop the mouth lesions. Sometimes it's just the rash externally, meaning the rash affecting the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet. And these lesions are usually raised, can appear blister-like. They can appear pink, red. Again, the color depends on the skin tone of the child. And as I said before, it affects other parts of the body other than the hands and the feet. So you can see it on the forearm and the thigh, the leg, and even the trunk. It affects the trunk of some children. Yeah, so and the buttocks. Yeah, it can affect other parts of the body. And it's, as again, I want to underscore, generally, it's a mild illness. It resolves spontaneously. And it's important to note that there is no specific treatment that can be given to the child to cause the infection to go away right away. So there's no specific treatment. However, if the child is experiencing a fever, anti-fever medication can be given to control that. If there is extra itchiness, something can be given to address that complaint. And then those with the lesions in the mouth, there are things you can do to soothe, the uncomfortable feeling. For example, having the child have icicles, something cold to suck on, can bring some relief of the discomfort in the mouth. Or a cool drink can be soothing as well.
Okay. And Mr. Leader, with your experience working as an environmental health officer, and perhaps Dr. Laws, you can chime in here as well. Who gets hand, foot, and mouth disease, really?
Hand, foot, and mouth disease affects mainly children, younger persons between the age of 5 and 7 years old. Not to say elderly or anybody that is an adult person can also contract it, but it is more dominant, prevalent in the younger age. But we'll need all to take the necessary precautions to ensure that they do not get it.
So anybody can get hand, foot, and mouth disease. Right. So adolescents, so teenagers who may not have been exposed to this infection. You realize it's cyclical. This would have affected us like 2, 3, 4 years ago. And so it comes around every couple of years. And so those adolescents who may not have been exposed to it before, they can also contract it, and so can adults as well. So it can affect anybody, but mainly children under the age of 5 to 7 years.
So with that, in terms of children being more vulnerable to contracting hand, foot, and mouth disease, what measures, could you speak to any measures or any steps being taken in particular to look at possible hotspots?
Right. So what we are doing, a mandate have been given. The health department, which includes the environmental health officer and the community nurses and the district medical officer, has been mobilized to the various nurseries and schools, all the schools in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a mandate to make sure that we visit the schools at certain intervals over the next, until the 14th, we want to break the cycle. So we are going to the schools to look, first of all, to ascertain the problem, who are affected in the various schools, and to institute the necessary prevention measures, which is important to curtail the spread. So I can identify the measures that we are taking at this present time to reduce the spread, avoid close contact, keep children who are ill with hand, foot, and mouth disease out of the child care setting in the school. Children should stay at home until the blisters resolve, which normally, under normal circumstances, 7 to 10 days. But if you have an underlying problem, this can be a bit longer, so we just have to be fluid and monitor the situation. If an adult or you have the illness, stay at home. It's very important because, as I say, we are trying to curtail the spread. Now, in the school setting, what we are trying to do is practice good infection prevention control measures. It is very important for us to do such. So we are going into the school to demonstrate how to do it, the environmental health officer, which includes using the common bleach. That is the most effective method. A teaspoon of bleach, a gallon of water, and you try to wipe all the high-touch surfaces, doorknobs, toys that the children will play with, and also at the interval of every hour, that is preferable, and also the beddings, because you would appreciate maybe children will share the beddings in the setting there, so it's very important. The linen can become soiled and can contribute to the spread of this infectious disease. So practice good hand hygiene. Since we've been small, teacher tell you wash your hand. It's basic public health principles. It's very important that we wash our hands as often. And when we say wash your hand from your elbow down to your fingertips, and take your time between the crevices of your finger is important. So we are demonstrating not only to the children but the caretakers, because they too can change diapers and be a source of infection to others. And so it is very important that they wash their hand appropriately. So the children must know how to wash their hand. And it's important, as I said, the whole team, we are practicing decentralizing our activities in the community. We are trying to reach as much person to advocate change, because it's very important. Most infection is caused because we are not paying attention to the health and safety of the environment. And so we are instituting the necessary measures, good infection prevention control measures, to ensure that the spread is curtailed.
Can I add?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. The age is the biggest risk factor for hand, foot, and mouth disease. So children under 5 to 7, just the age alone puts you at risk. And so because of that, it follows that the nurseries, the daycare, and the preschools and the primary schools, you will see it more in these settings, because the children are in close contact with each other. They hug, kiss each other, they share toys and sweets and, stuff like that, cups. And you have, like in nurseries, you have the care providers changing the diapers of one child and moving on to the next child. And if they're not practicing the proper infection prevention and control measure of washing hands thoroughly between children, you could easily see. This explains why we are seeing it more in the nurseries, the daycare, the preschools, and I dare say the primary schools. So that's the target population. So the public health team has been directed to go into the nurseries, the preschools, the daycare, private and public. Those that are operated privately and publicly, to resensitize the staff and the operators in terms of infection prevention and control measures, of washing hands thoroughly after changing a nappy of a baby before going on to the other child, because this reduces the risk of spread. And then cleaning the high-touch surfaces, the toys, the faucets, doorknobs, etc., and just reducing the spread, curtailing the spread. So they are going into every nursery, preschool, daycare, primary school at least 3 times over a 21-day period to resensitize the staff, make sure everybody is on board. And we are thinking, and we are almost sure, that this will help us to curtail the outbreak of this hand, foot, and mouth disease that we are currently experiencing.
Just to add, it's very important to you wash your hand after blowing your nose, sneezing, and coughing, and preparing and eating food. We always take that for granted. But this, because it involves body fluids, we have to ensure that the hands are washed after doing such. Just to emphasize that, please.
Thank you so much for that. It's 11:14. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation here on The Edge. Stay tuned.
Get ready ready for Dominica's Carnival, the biggest and realest juve. Ready for traditional mass. Yes. Ready for pageantry. Ready for fete after fete. Get ready for costumes and parades. And exhilarating bouillon music. Yes, baby. January 18th to March 4th. Immerse yourself in the spirit of the real mass. Immerse yourself in the spirit of Dominica's Carnival 2025.
Hey, guess what? It's Radio Market.
Call in and sell your merchandise. You can negotiate, give and trade.
We on radio, internet, and TV.
Like us, share us, and subscribe to
ZIZonline.com.
And remember, we don't sell nothing over $5,000. Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on ZIZ Radio. Call 465-6120, 465-1903, 662-8674, or 718-577-2916. ZIZ Radio, giving back to the people.
Get ready to ignite your Tuesday nights with a show that's as educational as it is entertaining. Welcome to Pleasure Pulse, your weekly guide to the world of sex education. Join Roma every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. exclusively on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It's the perfect way to spice up your midweek routine and get answers to all your burning questions. Whether you're looking for relationship advice or curious about the art of intimacy, Roma's got you covered. Pleasure Pulse, every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. only on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Don't miss out. Your sex education journey starts this Tuesday with Roma as your guide.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements. Welcome back to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It's 18 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. And if you're just tuning in studio with me today is Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws and Deputy Chief Environmental Health Officer Mr. Glenville Leader. And today they are here to speak on hand, foot, and mouth disease. What is hand, foot, and mouth disease? How do you prevent it? And the response and the preventative measures from the Ministry of Health. So, one of the questions being asked is if a child or if a person gets hand, foot, and mouth disease, can they get reinfected? Is that possible, Dr. Laws?
Okay, so the long answer is, let me just recap what I said earlier. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is caused by viruses that belong to the enterovirus family. Let's be more specific. The Coxsackie virus, A6, A16. Those are the two most common strains of viruses that cause hand, foot, and mouth disease. So children who are impacted or who would have contracted hand, foot, and mouth disease now in January 2025, can they get this disease in another 2 or 3 years? Yes, but highly unlikely, but yes, because if in another 2-3 years that outbreak is caused by a different strain of an enterovirus, you can, contract the disease again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of any long-term effects?
Okay, so it's a mild infection. It usually resolves quickly, spontaneously, within 7 to 10 days, say 14 days, usually without any complications. However, if perchance the child has other illnesses, other chronic illnesses, or immunocompromised for whatever reason, they can experience complications. But let me just underscore, the complications are rare, very rare. Can give you viral meningitis and encephalitis, but those are rare. So in other words, it can affect the brain, but that's under rare circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Looking at public health and prevention, Mr. Leader, if we can just zoom in a little bit on the response from the Ministry of Health in terms of the preventative measures, anything in particular people should do and to ensure that people are sensitized or, as Dr. Laws mentioned earlier, resensitized on the preventative measures as it relates to hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Okay, thanks. First of all, the Ministry of Health seeks the participation of everybody in the community when the health team visit the center. We anticipate your fullest cooperation. That is most important. If we are to break this cycle, everybody have to be on board. Mm-hmm. So, we are emphasizing the importance of infection prevention and control measures. What is that? So the health department, as I mentioned earlier, the district medical officer, which is a doctor in the district, the environmental health officer for the district, and the community nurse has been mobilized collectively so that we have one voice. We created a tile that was submitted to each officer so that we have consistency, one message that is coming across. So the message is that what should you do? We sensitize the staff. We are resensitizing all the staff members in all the schools about the importance of infection prevention and control measures. That basically is your cleaning and sanitizing methods. Cleaning and sanitizing. Just don't use plain water. You have to use a teaspoon of bleach, a gallon of water, and allow it to settle after cleaning, and cleaning between every hour interval. And as we mentioned before, high-touch surfaces, doorknobs, toys, you have to change your linen because they can become soil. When you change your diaper, you wash your hand. After sneezing and coughing, wash your hand. After touching the doorknob, after handling food, you wash your hand. It's very important to wash your hand if we are to achieve the mandate. Now, it's easy for us to say hand washing. So what we are doing, we are demonstrating, because it takes a little while for the child to understand the importance. It's a child. And so we are going into these various institutions to ensure that they understand what is hand washing. About 20 seconds from your elbow down to your fingertips, as I mentioned, in the crevices, and you take your time. And this is applicable to the workers and the patrons, the persons who are at these institutions. We are also sharing information via email, via electronic medium to the various houses so people can be aware what it is and what they can do to play their part to help us, because the Ministry of Health cannot do it alone. We are in direct partnership with the Ministry of Education, who plays a very important role in terms of the management of the school, and also the community. We want everybody to be on board. Hence, we are here this morning to disseminate this information to a wider population. So no one is left behind. You cannot say that you do not have the information that is intended to prevent an outbreak and to save lives. That is our objective of coming here this morning. So proper hand washing, the use of bleach, solution, teaspoon of bleach, gallon of water, and also wash your hand after you touch diapers, after you handle food, after you sneeze and cough. Very important for us to do that. And share information to the populace, which we are doing here today, so that they can be sensitized of what the Ministry of Health response in conjunction with the Ministry of Education. Seymour would like to.
And I wanted to add, if the schools take on this information in terms of being consistent in terms of practicing the infection prevention and control measures, we would not only contain this current hand, foot, and mouth disease outbreak, but any infectious disease that impacts any child in such settings, you wouldn't have an outbreak because you would have contained it. So, for example, we are in the flu season, and so you're going to have children with coughs and colds, etc. That too is contagious. Mm-hmm. However, if the schools practice, cleaning the common, the high-touch surfaces where the children play, eat, study, or do their school work, the toys that they share, the faucets where they wash their hands or go to the toilet, you would decrease the spread of not only hand, foot, and mouth disease, but any infectious disease that any of the children may be experiencing. So the measures are important to control any infectious disease infection that may be affecting children in general. So consistency and sustainability is key. And so for us, that's the message. So, so in another, I can tell you in another 3-4 weeks, we would have contained this. Mm-hmm. But we still want the schools to continue.
Yes.
Because you do not know when that other infection will show up. Mm-hmm. So we want there to be, consistency in infection and prevention control measures.
Thank you.
Also, we would like the support of the mothers and fathers of the children. In rare instances, we have been having some issues. They're sending their children to school still, even though they have the blisters associated with this disease. And we would want them to be on board, because you would appreciate that in several homes, you might have several children that attend multiple schools, and we don't want one person to be infected and take it to another school. So it's very important that we get the support of the parents. That's important if we are to make strive in this curtail this outbreak.
And I'll add, so exposure, well, let me just reiterate how it is spread. Exposure to the fluid from the blister-like lesion can put you at risk of picking up hand, foot, and mouth disease. So if your child has the blisters, just another child's exposure to the fluid from the blisters puts that child at risk of picking up hand, foot, and mouth disease. Mm-hmm. So just to explain that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just 2 minutes left before we wrap up our conversation. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the listening audience at this time, as it relates to hand, foot, and mouth disease or the flu season, anything in particular?
Well, I would just like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here to share information to the general public, which is intended to keep them informed. Suffice to say that we need the full support of the community. That's my message. Everybody have to be involved in this initiative. We have been trying our utmost best at the Ministry of Health to do what we can do with the resources provided. However, we cannot do it alone. So the message should be disseminated, and we should take heed. Everybody in community has to play the role if we are to achieve the mandate. I will allow the same.
Okay, so one additional message, and I'm speaking to parents of young children who are under 5 to 7 years. You can also teach your child how to wash their hands thoroughly and help them to reduce their risk of becoming infected with hand, foot, and mouth disease or even the flu that may be in circulation. So if your child practices thorough hand washing after touching high-touch surfaces, before eating, after using the toilet, that child would be well on its way in terms of reducing their risk of picking up hand, foot, and mouth disease or any other contagious infection. And then this also coupled with making sure the child sleeps well, get adequate sleep, adequate fluids, adequate diet. You're just these little things may seem simple, but you're building up the child's immune system and you're reducing the child's risk of becoming ill.
Thank you so much. It's 11:30. You've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. Let me say thank you so much, Dr. Laws and Mr. Leader, for joining me on the program today to speak about hand, foot, and mouth disease. As I mentioned earlier, it's affecting our local community, in particular the daycare centers. I've seen a few notices from the Ministry of Education in both St. Kitts and Nevis. Okay, in both St. Kitts and Nevis, as it relates to school closures, and so it's really good that you guys have come here to share the information with the listening audience, and we will do our part here to ensure that people are aware of the preventative measures. And as you said, if your child is ill or presenting with the signs and symptoms of the hand, foot, and mouth disease, keep them at home. That's the best approach. Keep them at home. We now have a statement, some additional information, I believe, in a clip from Dr. Laws being played. Stay tuned.
What is hand, foot, and mouth disease? Hand, foot, and mouth disease is a mild, contagious viral infection. It is caused by viruses that belong to the enterovirus family. Hand, foot, and mouth disease spreads quickly in nurseries and daycare centers. Hand, foot, and mouth disease may cause the following symptoms, which include fever, sore throat, and loss of appetite, general feeling of illness, and painful blister-like lesions or a rash that can affect the mouth, which includes the tongue, the gums, and inside the cheeks. It causes a painful blister-like lesion or rash affecting the palms of the hand and soles of the feet. This rash can also affect the buttocks and other parts of the body. The usual time between initial infection and when symptoms appear, otherwise called the incubation period, is usually 3 to 6 days. The rash may appear 1 to 2 days after the fever. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is usually a mild illness that resolves on its own. There is no specific treatment for hand, foot, and mouth disease. However, if there is a fever, the child can be given anti-fever medication. If there is itchiness, the child can be given medication to relieve this symptom. Young children aged 5 to 7 years. Children in childcare settings are particularly vulnerable because the infection spreads by person-to-person contact. However, please note, anyone, including adolescents and adults, can get this disease.
Get ready to ignite your Tuesday nights with a show that's as educational as it is entertaining. Welcome to Pleasure Pulse, your weekly guide to the world of sex education. Join Roma every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. exclusively on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It's the perfect way to spice up your midweek routine and get answers to all your burning questions. Whether you're looking for relationship advice or curious about the art of intimacy, Roma's got you covered. Pleasure Pulse every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. only on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Don't miss out. Your sex education journey starts this Tuesday with Roma as your guide.
Watch the creeper. Look out! Look out! This is it! Something new, something fresh, something exciting! Jump on show on ZIZ Radio with the man Chico. Yo! Every Monday to Thursday, Chico will be in the house with the 3 to 6 mix. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends about this exciting show on ZIZ Radio, the Jump Off Show. Every Monday to Thursday, 3 to 6. Don't miss it. While the others give you some, we give you more. Right here on ZIZ Radio. Watch the creep.
Join us on ZIZ TV for Youth Lounge with Skanaipa, a talk show on vital topics such as tourism, entrepreneurship, education, religion, sex education, and mental health. Featuring experts from St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean region. Tune in live on the first and third Wednesday of every month at 8:30 p.m. on ZIZ TV.
Get ready for Dominica's Carnival, the biggest and realest juve. Ready for traditional mass. Yes. Ready for pageantry. Ready for fete after fete. Get ready for costumes and parades. And exhilarating bouillon music. Yes, baby. January 18th to March 4th. Immerse yourself in the spirit of the real mass. Immerse yourself in the spirit of Dominica's Carnival 2025.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements. Welcome back to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. And again, thank you for joining me on the program for today. For those of you who are just tuning in, I had here with me the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Hazel Laws, and the Deputy Chief Environmental Health Officer, Mr. Glenville Leader. They shared information on the hand, foot, and mouth disease, what it is, what are the common signs and symptoms, who gets hand, foot, and mouth disease, how is it spread, the preventative and control measures, as well as the Ministry of Health's response to the disease outbreak. We have some more, we call them PSAs or information on how to prevent hand, foot, and mouth disease. We'll have some played now. Stay tuned.
How can we control hand, foot, and mouth disease outbreak? We can all collaborate to reduce the risk of spread of hand, foot, and mouth disease in the following ways. 1. Avoiding close contact. Children who are affected by this illness should remain at home and away from childcare settings. If an adult and you have this illness, stay at home from work. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is highly contagious. Therefore, persons who are affected should limit their exposure to others while experiencing symptoms. 2. Practicing good hand hygiene. Wash your hands thoroughly after touching high-touch surfaces, after using the toilet, after blowing your nose, sneezing, and coughing. Make sure to wash your hands prior to preparing food and eating or having your meals. 3. Teach children how to wash hands properly and encourage them to keep their fingers and hands away from their mouth and eyes. 4. Practicing effective infection prevention and control measures in childcare settings, in the school setting. Because the virus can live for days on high-touch surfaces like doorknobs and shared toys. Each school should follow a strict cleaning and disinfecting regime whereby high-touch surfaces and toys, etc., are cleaned and disinfected frequently throughout each day. These are the main ways in which we can prevent and control the spread of hand, foot, and mouth disease. How is hand, foot, and mouth disease spread? Hand, foot, and mouth disease spreads quickly in nurseries and in daycare centers through person-to-person contact. A child can get hand, foot, and mouth disease by touching contaminated objects and high-touch surfaces that are contaminated, surfaces like toys, doorknobs, desktops, and then touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Through close contact with infected persons, a child can hug, kiss, or share cups and other eating utensils with another child who has the disease. Children can pick up hand, foot, and mouth disease through exposure to droplets that have the virus after a sick person coughs or sneezes, and by exposure to contaminated feces, such as changing diapers, then touching eyes, nose, and mouth.
Welcome back to The Edge in ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me in the program for today. So that's it as it relates to information on the hand, foot, and mouth disease in terms of what it is and how do you prevent hand, foot, and mouth disease. As I mentioned earlier, I've seen notices from the Ministry of Education in both St. Kitts and Nevis, encouraging parents and or guardians to keep their children at home if they show signs and symptoms of the hand, foot, and mouth disease. At the same time, I would also like to plead with the employers to be understanding. And so you're going to have those young parents or parents in general who have children who may come down with the hand, foot, and mouth disease. They may have to be home with them for a week or two. And so be understanding and work with them, because at the same time, we are trying to contain the spread of this disease outbreak. And so on one hand, we encouraging our parents and guardians to keep the children at home if they are showing any signs and symptoms of the hand, foot, and mouth disease. But equally, we are asking the employers to work with the employees who have children who may come down with the hand, foot, and mouth disease. And of course, as the point was being made by the CMO, the preventative measures, and so the frequent washing of your hands, the cleaning high-touch surfaces, the doorknobs, the tables, the toys, and different things, these should be regularly cleaned to ensure that there is not an outbreak. And so while a few children may come down with the hand, foot, and mouth disease, you don't want a case where you have a daycare with 200 children or 150 children, and all of them, or majority of them, come down with the hand, foot, and mouth disease. So again, the washing of the hands, the cleaning with Lysol or Clorox or bleach or whatever, let's use these things. And hand, foot, and mouth disease, as mentioned by the medical and health professionals, it's not only it doesn't only target children. Anyone can get it. Adolescents, adults, they too can get the hand, foot, and mouth disease. It's 11:46. You may call us at 662-8674. That's 662-8674. If you want to call and encourage anybody as well to keep their children at home if they have the hand, foot, and mouth disease, or if you want to make mention of anything of national importance, we'll take our first call. I think we have a caller on the line. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Boy, hello, sir. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I heard you asking employers to be understanding. But what should happen, that should come from the head of government too, to ask the civil service and the private sector to be understanding and let us the country about themselves and do not fire nobody when anybody alert them that they have to be home with their child or children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've made a really good point there.
Let the government itself make a public official announcement, or even from the medical team where they deal, that the employers must be understanding, because I know situations where employers fired people for being on sick leave or for being home because of some form of illness.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing was done about it. We went to the Labor Department and all kind of thing, and that just went to the school.
Mm-hmm.
So we are requesting that the medical team and an official announcement come from government, because this year need all hands on deck at this moment.
Yeah, you've made a really good point there in terms of it coming from an authority, but I still drive the point home that, I mean, if you are an employer and your employee or employees come to you and say, my daughter or my son has hand, foot, and mouth disease, and I really don't have anybody at home to take care of them, man, work with the employee. You know?
Yeah, be understanding.
Be understanding and say, okay, let's see how we can work out an arrangement.
And also the employees bring official doctor paper to prove.
Right.
Yeah,
to prove that the child has, yes, you're correct.
Official document to prove that this has to take place. I have to be home with my child or children, or we have that illness at home. I cannot come out because I don't know if I am walking with the virus into your workplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. You're so correct there, Colin. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. It's 11:49 and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Yes, you've made a really good point in terms of whether it be the government or the officials coming, but I'm saying to employers and employees, be understanding. And so if your employees come and say, I have a child and my child has come down with the hand, foot, and mouth disease, you ask them to present a paper from the doctor, because the doctor would, do whatever and say, my child has the hand, foot, and mouth disease, but I'm not in a position to hire anybody to come and take care of the child, and I don't have anybody at home to take care of the child or children. And so you work out an arrangement with your employee, and you say, okay, I'm willing to do this in lieu of this. I'm willing to, you work out something, because again, we're trying to contain the spread of the hand, foot, and mouth disease. And really and truly, I after listening to the information shared by the health and medical professionals here, it's really simple in containing this disease, It's really, really simple in containing this disease, and all it includes is just being clean. All it includes is being clean, and so that simply means to wash your hands frequently before and after you eat. It means to clean the high-touch surfaces, ensure that these areas are clean and not with just water, but with bleach or Clorox, Lysol, whatever it is. Ensure that these areas are cleaned, and you wouldn't have a situation where there's a huge outbreak. Whenever these things happen, it in my opinion, shows the different gaps that we have in different areas, whether it be in our homes, schools, workplaces, or daycare centers. It shows that there is definitely a gap. And so what the medical professionals are saying is continue to clean, continue to, teach the children how to wash their hands and all of these things to ensure that there is not a widespread of the hand, foot, and mouth disease. It's 11:51, and you are listening to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. As usual, I want to share with the listeners with regards to the Budget Boost wallet. So, Ronnie, I went to look into it as well, and I'm not quite sure where people are getting the information from as it relates to the monies being taken from them. I don't know. I guess it's perhaps a glitch with the JAD app. So, if that's a situation, if that's something that has happened to you, don't panic. Just call JAD or call the Ministry of Social Development and let them assist you. But I haven't really come across anybody who said that they had the money in their account and they've since taken off the money. We're now in a new month, and I think how we're going to do it, it's going to be administered at the end of each month or the last working day of each month. So again, if you're one of those persons who received the Budget Boost wallet funds and then it came off of your account, just give them a call, whether you want to call JAD app or JAD Cash, the platform that you're using for the initiative, or you want to call the Ministry of Social Development, and the number is 467-1370 or 662-5993. So don't panic and say, oh, they're taking off money. Man, just give them a call. Just give them a call and allow them to assist you with whatever the issue may have been. Again, we know we're dealing with technology and glitches do happen. I'm not saying that's what the case is. I'm just saying it's a possibility that it may very well be a glitch. So just call and try to find out what the situation is. And again, to remind our listeners that the community centers are open where you can go to get assistance to sign up for the Budget Boost wallet initiative. If you are not sure what it is about, again, the numbers are 467-1370 or 5993. Call these numbers and they will give you all of the details as it relates to the Budget Boost Wallet initiative. I think close to 20,000 people have since received their funds, and Mr. Edinburgh was here where he shared some details on how this money has gone back into the economy. We are seeing more than $3 million being pumped into the private sector, in particular, looking specifically at the supermarkets and the other vendors that have signed on to the initiative, and more than $1.1 million going into the public sector, and the public sector entities like Skelec, Nevlec, and the water services departments in both St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we're seeing where the monies are being used, which suggests that they're being used responsibly, and it made sense to have the monies deposited into a electronic format or a digital format than to give me the 250, because the truth is, if you had given me the 250, I would have gone on the road and buy something that I don't really need, I wouldn't have gone and pay Netflix. And I find something else to do with the money. So it's really good, and as the point was made, it gives the government an idea of how to draft or how to implement future programs if necessary. You see where the needs are, and you see what areas definitely need working on. And so you realize that people are putting more money into purchasing food because the price of food is high. Inflation is killing us, and we've been hearing from the Ministry of Agriculture and our local authorities that we need to grow more food. But really and truly, the cost of food is high, The cost of food is high. And so with the Budget Boost Wallet, it's really a help. And so if you're accustomed to use your $100 a week or $100 a month, whatever the case is, you add that to $50. $100 a month is ambitious. So you add the $250 to what you already have, and you try to use that to add to what you have there. You've been listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I've been your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. Today we spoke about the hand, foot, and mouth disease with Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws and Deputy Chief Environmental Health Officer Mr. Glenville Leader. Coming up at noon is our midday newscast. Stay tuned. Remember, don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. And yes, wash your hand before and after you eat, please. Have a good one.